Hey, thanks for joining us this time on Off the Shelf Book Talk with Book Lovers. I'm Elizabeth Nelson here with my Aunt Kay Johnson. What have you been reading this time?
Well,
That doesn't sound very good.
actually, after taking a bit of a break from my zombie books, I found a series that I read. Zombie Road by David Simpson. It's 4 books no less.
Oh.
They're like 300 pages each.
It's a really long road.
Yeah, but they are so great because you'll just love this.
Like B movie great or like
B,
epic?
maybe even C. It's truckers who take on the zombies.
Oh my gosh.
This is so great. It starts out they're at this truck stop out in the desert somewhere. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, most of these truckers are veterans. So they all carry guns, right?
Of course.
And they're eating their lunch and they're visiting and lo and behold, and some car comes flying up and some guy stumbles out and he bites a guy getting gas and all hell breaks loose. And the fellow who owns the truck stop is a retired veteran. He's a veteran too. And he was a commander or sergeant or something. So he starts yelling orders. And these guys, of course, even though they might have been out of the army for years and years, they snap to it and they all carry guns.
Of course. I was going to say, is there a secret cache of weapons underneath the gas station? Because that would fit right in with this book.
No, they had them on the wall as part of a decoration. And the daughter, the cook, is a long
Sniper?
Sniper. She's on the roof shooting them off. And so they end up barricading themselves into the
gas
truck
station.
stop. And then there's a motley crew of people, of course. And when they saw a bunch of runners, when you're a fresh zombie, you're fast and quick. Mm-hmm. You don't just shamble. Some do, but these don't.
Depending on your
Book.
canon.
Yeah. And so what they did is they pulled the semis up in front of the windows. In order to get there, he drove over a guy's Ferrari, which created bad feelings. And so they've got the whole place protected with their semis. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they lose a couple early on, because of this and that and the other thing.
Semis or people?
People. And then they find out, they somehow connect with the government, and they find out that they're going to be something with nuclear power plants. And so there's one fairly close, so they have to move. So they're going to go to Oklahoma. So they ramp up these trucks, they armor them up. And they clean out the restaurant and they head to the Midwest, to Oklahoma, to Lakota, Oklahoma, the center of the country, no power plants. And there they build their new community.
Okay.
And of course there's bad guys.
Mm-hmm. Besides the zombies?
Besides the zombies, there's always just regular folk who go rogue.
Oh gosh.
And then meanwhile, Gunny, who's the head guy, his wife is in a high-rise in Atlanta, and his son is in detention in school.
God.
And so it takes at least 2 books before they all get back together. So it's high drama. And I'm sure there'll be more, but I read the first 4, and I have to admit I did a lot of... Okay, hurry up.
Speed through.
Yeah, because I wanted certain people I was following, because every chapter had a name on it.
Oh, okay.
But
what are those books?
Yeah, and these guys take no prisoners. Mm-hmm. They shoot to kill, and they don't feel too bad about it. And so it's sort of, I'm thinking we could use some of those folks maybe. So if you're looking for escape from reality, Zombie Road, and they're probably only available as Kindle e-books. I don't even know if you can get them at Barnes & Noble. I think this is strictly a Kindle operation.
That's probably a good thing.
And they're free, no doubt, on Kindle Unlimited.
Good price, I would guess.
Yes.
It sounds like.
So have you read any zombie books, Betsy?
No. As I've mentioned before, I dislike zombies in any form. Book.
I don't like zombie movies, but I really like the books.
I don't like zombie movies. I don't like zombie books. I don't like zombie comic strips. I don't like nothing. I don't even play. If there's a game with zombies, I don't even play it. So
there was a 5K training app where you have zombies chase. Yeah, zombies run.
There are 5Ks you can do where you go out and there are people dressed up as zombies who will chase you.
I think your mom wanted to do one of those.
Yeah, I said no.
And she couldn't.
I had friends that went and did one, but
she couldn't recruit anyone to go with her.
She tried to recruit me, and I don't run.
Well, she tried to recruit me, and I sure as heck don't run either. It shows a level of her desperation.
No.
She didn't do it either, so.
No, I don't do zombies. No, this short collection of short stories I finished is probably the exact opposite. It's called Paris for One and Other Short Stories by Jojo Moyes.
Oh, is that good?
Yes.
Oh, so I love Jojo Moyes.
Yep, so there's a bunch of different stories, and they all of the stories deal with relationships. So the main book with the Jojo Moyes book, and I was a little nervous going into this because, as we've talked about on previous episodes, I don't like her writing. With
you
that Me Before You, bad series. I'm just gonna call it out there.
Great book.
We're never going to agree on this.
Only the first one though. Me Before You. I didn't like the sequels.
I don't like any of them, so we're just gonna.
First book. Oh
no. Yeah, but not for a good reason with me. I threw the book. I had to, not only that, but I had to deal with the late fine on it because they would not renew it for me. And so I had to keep it till I finished it.
What did you not like about that book?
The ending.
Oh.
None of it. Bad. That's all, we're just going to leave it there. We can't, no, it's not, they're not going to change my mind. It's
I'm
just
not even
bad.
going to try, but
no.
She lies. It's a good book.
Mm-mm. No. You're wrong.
I had it as one of my favorite books of the year.
No.
It was the favorite book a few years ago.
Nope.
It's because of that book that I have a do not resuscitate order.
Well, that just took a turn.
Well, it's sort of all the same, you know.
It is. But yeah, no, it's
my healthcare directive, thanks to Jojo Moyes.
So anyway, Paris for One is the story of Nell, who is a 26-year-old, and she's supposed to go away for a romantic weekend with her boyfriend. And she doesn't take trips. She's not one to go out of her bubble or travel alone. And her boyfriend is sort of a sleazeball, and so just isn't going to show up. Just doesn't go. It's got to work. And so she's in Paris by herself, and so it's sort of how she realizes that she can't just sit in her hotel room for the weekend. And so it's everything that happens to her in the weekend she's in Paris.
Is it good?
Very good. You know, of course, there's the love interest that she meets and everything that happens. Very good. A couple of the other ones in that were included in there, I wasn't quite as in love with. I mean, they were okay, but I'm glad the Jojo Moyes one is first, because if they would have tried to end with her book, I probably would have tossed the whole book away.
So it's different authors in an anthology?
Yep, it's her, and then I think there's 4 books altogether. The only one that they talk about here
is Jojo Moyes.
Yeah. Paris for One is quintessential Jojo Moyes, as are the other stories that round out this collection. But they don't even tell you what the other books in the collection are in the Goodreads synopsis. So, but Paris for One is very good. Short, quick. I listened to it, so it was a quick listen, because I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, and this one I finished before the new year ended and the new reading challenge started, because that was a good one, and there haven't been many since. So
you should share with listeners, Betsy, what your reading challenge goal is this year.
Yes. So as we've talked about on previous episodes, I set a reading challenge every year, and it's not to read like a lot of lists will have like you're going to read these specific sort of books, like if they're getting really too deep into it, or you have people that will do an ABC challenge where you have to read a book that starts with that, which, I mean, you could just really cheat and read all Sue Grafton books if you want to make it easy on yourself, because there's the whole alphabet almost. But people try to do it that way. I just pick a number. And so last year, my goal was to read 100 books, and I read 136. So this year I set a goal of 150.
Woohoo!
We will see how it goes. I finished, well, at the time of filming, I finished 4. By the time this one airs,
So 150 divided by 12 is what? Like 10 books a month?
sure.
No, 15 books a month.
We'll go with that. I don't math, so I'm not a math person.
So it's like every other day.
Yeah.
And how are you doing with that?
I'm doing good. Audiobooks, real books. I have still 4 shelves. Remember, we've talked about this other, but 4 shelves of unread books. So there's probably close to 100 on all those shelves, I would guess.
Without even venturing outside to
Yes,
get other
or
books.
checking anything out of the library.
Yeah.
So that's where I get all my audiobooks. I get those from Overdrive or Libby now.
Oh, okay.
Through
You
the
don't
library
download them
system.
on your phone. Or you listen to your
I listen to them through the app on my phone,
phone.
yeah, but I don't.
you get them free from the library.
Yes, because I've looked in the past. I've looked at like an Audible
Subscription?
subscription, which is hooked up with Amazon, but the credit is only good for like 1 book, and then you still have to pay price for the other ones.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
So, whereas the library, I can check out up to 5 audiobooks at once and read them all. The only thing that gets hard with audiobooks is when you get ones that you're like, oh, this sounds really interesting, and then you look at it and it's like 24 hours worth of listening. It's like I could read the whole thing in less than this time.
That's true.
So
that was the one thing about audiobooks that I didn't like because, my God, who's got 12 hours? I mean, I might spend 12 hours reading a book.
see,
but
I don't have a problem listening to that much because, growing up, we were driving back and forth from Tennessee to here, and we were always we listened to all the Harry Potter books on cassette tape. We'd listen to one going one way, and then the other way you'd listen to the next book. And so, I don't have a problem. And I usually have them on if I'm just doing stuff around the house or when I'm at work, depending on the type of book I'm listening to, because there's some books you don't want people walking in on you listening to them, then being like, really?
like Zombie
Yeah.
Road.
Like zombie books or even with last episode we talked about the Codename Lee's, it was like, I don't really think I wanted the people walking in listening to somebody being tortured. So we're just gonna pause this book here and listen to music for a while. But a lot of people I've talked to, some people say they can't do audiobooks just because if it's playing in the background and they're doing something else, they zone out. But with me, I'd rather listen to an audiobook if I'm doing something, because if I have a movie playing and I'm doing stuff, I can work on stuff and not see a second of the movie.
Yeah, I usually have it running
So,
in the background.
Yeah, so I enjoy them that way. It keeps my brain busy.
That's true.
So, but I really liked that one. So yeah, what else have you been reading? I'm hogging all the time over here with my book.
Well, when you were talking about Christmas books before, I am actually reading this book right now. It's called The Moose Wonderful Time of the Year. And
Does it take place in Minnesota?
No. This
Canada?
is a Oxford tea room mystery by H.Y. Hannah. And this is like the 10th book in the series.
Okay.
I read all of them, and then the next one wasn't out yet, so I kind of forgot about them.
Yeah.
And then this one popped up in Kindle Unlimited.
Okay.
And I thought, I haven't spent any time with Gemma lately. I should maybe download this. So I did, and
So this is like moose is in like the food.
Chocolate.
Okay.
MOUSS.
Okay.
And
You
anyway,
can tell where my brain went.
yeah.
Not the food. For once.
Yeah. So she it's Christmas, and she finds herself catering a party, a children's party in a country manor. And anyway, her books are fun because there's 4 senior gals, like in their 80s, who hang out in her tea room.
Okay.
And they formed a singing group at Christmas called the 12 Grays of Christmas. And so they were invited to sing at this big party so Gemma's there and the 12 Grays of Christmas, but only because it was last minute, only 4 could make it. So it's really 4 Grays of Christmas this time. But anyway, a snowstorm comes in and they end up getting snowbound at this manor.
Okay.
And anyway, the man of the house, who's elderly, is engaged to some gold digger who's like 30. And she's actually seems to be playing around with his daughter's husband because Gemma walked in on them. And then the prodigal son, Ned, comes home and shows up in the middle of this, plus Julian, the cousin, who thought he was going to inherit. and Gemma has a cat. This cat is always in trouble.
She brought the cat with her?
Well, she has to because that cat. So the cat likes to sleep in the manger in the nativity scene. And so when she sees that the cat snuck out of her room, she goes downstairs, finds the cat in the nativity scene, and comes upon a dead body in the library.
With the candlestick?
No candlestick. Might have been, though. Who knows? Glass of port. And, and a stocking over his head. And
see, now I'm picturing, when you say a stocking over his head, I'm picturing like the big Christmas stocking.
yeah, that's what it was. He suffocated. They suffocated him in the big Christmas stocking.
I shouldn't be laughing. That's terrible for me to laugh.
I thought it was kind of clever, though. I mean, there he was, all purple under the Christmas
Do
stocking.
you ever wonder sometimes if writers just have like a giant dartboard with like all the different ways you could kill people, and they just like take a dart, this one dies?
Yep.
And that's how they go with it, or like a big roulette wheel or something?
Yeah, well, yeah. So because of the storm, the police can't get there. So Gemma, this patriarch, has read about her, and he said, "You've solved other mysteries. I want you to solve this one." And she doesn't want to, but the four Greys, they're keen because, after all, she wouldn't be successful if it weren't for them. And so that is where I'm at right now, where
Okay.
they have one dead body and 5 investigators trying to figure out who snuffed out
That
this
doesn't
fellow.
sound like too many cooks in the kitchen at all.
Well, there is a new cook in the kitchen. I'm sort of thinking she might have something to do with it, although she seems nice. One never knows with these people, but I've got my money on the cook in the kitchen.
Okay.
It's
We'll have
like-
to let us know.
But she also, H.Y. Hannah has several series out.
Okay.
One is Bewitched by Chocolate. That's a great one. It's an enchanted chocolate shop. And then she also and the latest book in that is Double Double Toil and Truffle. She's got good names. And then she also has an English cottage garden mystery series, which is new.
Okay.
And the latest one there is Trowel and Air. I know.
That's what I love about cozy mysteries, is just the titles that they come up
Oh,
with.
yeah. And they're clever, and, they're not gory.
No.
There's nothing I hate more than a psychological...
Let me look. There's one I'm on hold for. The first one in this series is called Death by Dumpling.
Ooh, who wrote that?
I'm on hold for it, so I haven't read any of these yet, but it's by Vivian Chen, and it's about, the main character's name is Lana Lee, and she has to come back home after a breakup to work in her family Chinese restaurant, which is called Hu Li Noodle House. And so and in this one, the property owner turns up dead after a delivery of shrimp dumplings from her place. So, I mean, I found that, but it's Death by Dumpling, and then the second one is Dim Sum of All Fears.
Oh, that's good. See, they're clever names.
Murder Lo Mein, Wonton Terror, Egg Drop Dead. Like, it's just funny. So, like, so I haven't read it yet. I'm going to hopefully report back. I've been on hold since November for these books.
So they're popular.
Yes. So I'm excited to check. And I mean, I just went through and typed in, like, cozy mysteries, and I'll just put stuff on hold. And I mean, cozy mysteries are really the perfect type of audio book to listen to because, they don't really get any, like, super deep and dark. They're kind of light and more of a they're cozy.
Yeah, well, I am not a fan of, like, these psychological, really grisly,
And,
lots of blood and torture and...
Well, and I'd actually I checked out an audiobook called The Silent Wife, and it's by A.S.A. Harrison is the author. And when you read this stuff, well, first of all, I probably shouldn't realize I was going to like it when they said it was like the next Gone Girl, because we've talked about in other episodes.
Yeah, we hate Gone
What
Girl.
I thought about Gone Girl. But I checked it out because so the book is told, it rotates each chapter between the wife's point of view and then the husband. And and it's on the back cover of the book, so I'm not spoiling it by saying this, but the whole book is leading up to the point where she's going to kill him.
Well, I would too. He sounds annoying.
Yeah. So it's called The Silent Wife, but they're not married. So I don't know how she's a wife, but we're not going to dwell on that. I have never, ever in my life wanted a character to kill somebody so much and for a book to end. And then he died, and there were still 3 hours of book to listen to. And I mean, so much description, and everybody that was reading talked just like this. And I mean, the guy reading and the writer did a great job making the husband the jerk he was supposed to be, but you didn't like anybody. You really didn't care how they died, who did it, what happened.
How did you finish it?
Because I'm that person. I'm that completionist, and I was like, I'm not starting off the new year not finishing books already. But I have had, I'm not going to talk about all the books I hated, because I figure that's a very negative show, and nobody's going to sit for a half hour and let me complain about books I hate. But this book, seriously, I've never been, this person just needs to die so the book can end.
That's bad.
Yes.
Well, you know, when you
and then I was sort of hoping that maybe she would get knocked off too, and we'd just be done with both of them.
Well,
but I mean, and I can't even say, because they kept saying that, oh, there's this big twist that you're never going to get. And I was like, it's not that big of a twist, and I really don't care that it was thrown in there, because they're all still terrible people.
I saw online that Dassel Library is doing a March Madness.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's so the Dassel Library, they're doing a March Madness type voting on the top books of the last decade.
Okay.
So it has like a March Madness type layout where, you know, everybody comes down to the champion. Yeah, the brackets. And so they've listed, I don't even know what books are on it yet, but they picked out so many books, and then everybody will vote on them to pick the winner. So, and they actually did this with their children's summer reading program too. They would have every week you could vote for your favorite children's book between a couple, and they did the same sort of bracket to what was the favorite of the libraries for their library area.
Well, the reason it clicked in my head was because someone on Facebook said Gone Girl as their favorite book, and I thought, I want nothing to do with that person.
We're sorry if you watch the show.
We're sorry if you love that book. Because we did not.
No, and that's
It's
not
Ben
going to
Affleck
change.
in that.
Gone Girl?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I knew it. God. Leave it to Ben Affleck.
And it's not so much like, I like suspense books. I do. Like this 13th Tale has a lot of suspense aspects to it. So this is a Diane Setterfield, and it's this girl she owns a bookshop with her dad, and she gets asked to come and write a biography of this very reclusive author who came out with a book called The 13th Tale, but there are only 12 books in the book itself. So it's this big mystery. And so she goes out to stay at this country estate with her, and she's telling her all about her life and everything that happened. But there's a lot of twists and turns and secrets that come out. And so this I really liked. This is twists and turns and people killing people. Well, not people killing people, I don't think. I don't remember. I haven't read this one in a while, but it's a favorite. I promise. So, but I mean, so I like suspense books. I like books that I don't know what's going to happen. I like trying to guess who did it. But not this time, because this time I knew who was supposed to do it, and I still didn't care.
The Silent Wife?
The Silent Wife. And I hate and I don't want to say anything bad. People online were saying this too with their Goodreads challenges. Like, you don't want to say anything bad about the author, because the author actually passed away like 2 years ago from cancer. So you don't want to be like, she was a terrible writer because she died horribly. But it's just like, I'm glad she's not reading these reviews. At least.
I take it you weren't alone in your feeling.
No, and it's really interesting because, you know, you have those books where people just seem so divided. Like, you either have the people that loved it, and then you have the people that are like, I don't know what you're talking about. I hate this. And I mean, but it's amazing how passionate people can get about books. But I'm passionate about books too. I will go on and on about them. As we've seen from doing this show, we can go on and on about how we feel.
About books. And disagree about them too.
Yes, as we have. We've done a lot of that just in this episode. But so I did start the year off with a lot of not so good books, but I've started this one, and I'll probably talk more about it when I finish it. But it's called The Mad Woman Upstairs, a novel of the last Bronte, and it's by Catherine Lowell. So this book, the main character's name is Sarah Whimple, and she is the last living descendant of the Bronte family. So Charlotte, Anne, and Emily, all writers. Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, Agnes Grey are their big ones. And so she's the last one, and there's always been this rumor that there is a missing Bronte fortune. And so her father has passed away, and now and he died in a fire, and so all of their books that he had were supposed to have been destroyed. And now she's studying at Oxford, and her father's copies of the Bronte books are showing up at her house, up in her dorm room, being left by someone she doesn't know. So it's her and her Oxford professor are trying to work and figure out what's going on. And I'm only halfway through it so far, but I stayed up for like an extra 3 hours to get this far. And I'm really enjoying it. So it's really great because I was really worried about 2020's reading.
Yeah.
Because it was not looking too good after The Silent Wife.
So it's redeemed itself.
It is redeeming itself. So once I know more about what's going on, I'll talk about it probably on the next episode. Or maybe since our next episodes will be February for Valentine's Day, maybe we'll surprise you all with a couple of themed episodes for the month. You'll have to check back in next time and let us know, and you'll see what we'll talk about. But reach out to us on Instagram and Facebook or send us an email, and we'll see you next time.